Greetings. Today we're going to be looking at creating a culture of feedback to drive growth. This has been an exciting day for me. Um, really uh, terrible technical issues, but we're on. And um, hopefully we could still get value from our time together. So, I have some questions for you. Do you operate in an environment in which feedback is freely given and gracefully accepted? Do leaders welcome feedback even when it's not positive? Yes. Are team members muting or even withholding feedback due to concerns about how it will land and what are the potential repercussions? On a personal level now, stop for a minute. How comfortable are you with providing frank, honest, and timely feedback? You see the situation. You know that this individual needs to hear this information, needs to get this information. But for whatever reason, you step back from the process or you mute the feedback. Yes. I Is there a touch of defensiveness when you receive feedback? Why is this person saying this? Are they being honest with me? Are they, providing challenges? Why is this person saying this? Or is this really true? Do we have a sense of defensiveness when people speak to us? And what about um, the person, the source? Does it make a difference if your BFF gives you the feedback, and if somebody who you don't get along with so well share with you? Is there a difference? And then on the other side, how selective are you in who you give feedback to? So I can speak to John and Mary, but Tom, no way. You know, he's no, I'm not saying anything to him. Let him go along his way, or let Joan go along her way. These 7 questions make a huge difference to the success of your organization, to the level of engagement in the organization, to what happens in the team. These 7. How is feedback given and how is feedback received? But let's move on. Why is feedback so critical? Feedback is a catalyst, really, for things like quality assurance, performance management, absolutely, um, productivity enhancement. This is how people will grow better, do better. This is how we'll improve our systems and goal attainment, because all of those things go into driving um, success and goal attainment. So CPR, this one set of research, and if you go online, you will see tons of research about the importance of feedback. But I chose some from CPR, and 65% of employees desire more feedback. So while we are reticent to give feedback, it is amazing that people want more. And several research studies indicate that people thrive on feedback. They want to get it. I hope it's not just in the surveys, but in general, they want it. And so only 1% of employees who receive positive feedback reported being actively disengaged. You know, the studies are out there that indicate how few, like 2/3 of the population are actively not actively engaged. Put it that way, are not actively engaged, right? So 40% of those who don't get positive feedback are actively disengaged. 85% of employees take more initiative. That's it. That's a positive impact when they receive feedback in the workplace. So feedback matters. Yet only 28% of employees receive meaningful feedback at least once per week. So what it is saying is that people want the feedback, but a small percentage is getting it. 89% of HR leaders agree that ongoing peer feedback and check-ins are key for successful outcomes. So when the HR understands it, that giving good feedback early with, from your peers and quick check-ins make a difference. Yeah. And of course, as we see here, 75% of employees think that feedback is valuable. Here's the other side of the coin. We all have these performance reviews, whether it is, some people get it up to quarterly now, but whether it is quarterly, half yearly, or annually, people are not comfortable about the accuracy, the validity of them. And the bottom line is that it's so far away from the events that it doesn't really facilitate improvement. So we need to, I'm not saying we should stop doing performance appraisals and performance reviews, but we also need to make sure that we build in mechanisms for ongoing feedback on a regular and timely basis. The closer the feedback is to the event, the more impact it will have, the more relevance it will have, and the more accurate it will be. So we need to encourage people then to give feedback on a timely basis. Yes. All right. So what is the power of feedback? Let us look at it. Feedback provides valuable insights, identifies blind spots, helps individuals and teams to reach their full potential. Those are some of the keys. And it says here that if you deliver the feedback in a proper manner and it is received with the way that you intend for it to land, it's going to strengthen the relationships, it's going to foster improvement, it's going to help people to learn and to do things in a better way. So all of that then adds up to enhancing performance. So creating a culture of feedback then empowers individuals, right? It improves communication, absolutely, and it drives organizational success. Yeah. So one of the vexed questions that we have over decades now, at least a decade, that people have been grappling with this issue of low employee engagement. One of the antidotes to that is to provide constructive, regular feedback in ways that the feedback lands the way that you want it to land. People who get that kind of feedback do not readily leave organizations. Look at this Gallup study that shows that employees who receive regular feedback have a 14.9% lower rate of turnover. So you can retain your talent by giving them feedback, not by hiding things from them and saying, oh, it might hurt their feelings. The key is to give them regular, honest feedback on a timely basis. But of course, the feedback has to be given in a way that lands with the individual. Going to get there in a minute. All right. So here is the key why I'm saying that it needs to land. And that is where I want to go. All right. Individuals address the issue of feedback differently based upon their behavioral preferences. So you know that we have been presenting on the discerning model of communication and leadership. And the discerning model of listening is one of the components of that model. People receive the feedback differently. They give feedback in a different way. If we fail to respect this, we're going to have problems. And that is the challenge that we have, is that in many instances, the feedback processes do not take sufficient account of the differences in behavioral styles. So we have this monolithic or this, grand annual performance appraisal, and people just go and check boxes, etc. Um, that's is not as helpful as it could be. So I want to share some thoughts with you about that. That if you were to spend a little time understanding and respecting the nuances of how people receive and give feedback based on their behavioral styles, it's going to make a huge difference to developing a culture of feedback in your organization. So let us look at the four key styles, major styles. These styles. How do that's dominance, driven, direct, decisive. It's on the right side of the four quadrant model, where it's more outgoing and task oriented. So individuals who are users who have a preference for use of the D style tend to want to receive the feedback in a frank and timely manner. Tell me, you know, my back is broad. I'm thick skinned. Talk to me. Tell me what it is. Don't go around the bush. Just tell me straight what it is that you have to say. All right. I'm going to give you an uncomfortable scenario. All right. So here is John. John has a challenge with body odor. Okay. So that's an example. The D style approach would be to say to John, hey, John, and confront the issue. Here's an issue, you can deal with it straight. Okay, that's a D style approach. Strong, frank, honest, and it's open. And the feedback can be given with my hand around John's shoulder. It's not a problem. We just call a spade and make it happen. All right. So that's the giving side. I'm going to do the giving side first. So basically, one of the challenges that organizations have, that feedback, the pushback that they have against that, is that people are saying, no, that's insensitive. Think about John's feelings and so on. And so I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but our S-style colleagues, those who are more understanding and um, don't want to hurt feelings, and say, no, you can't say do it that way. So they go about the situation where they're saying, all right, let me find some kind of politically correct thing that I hint to John that this might be an issue. Maybe, I go and I say, hey, I went to the, supermarket, and one, they had this big sale, and also they had some samples, and I got some, and would you like one, John? And hopefully John will get the hint. So the dichotomy here is that um, we are saying that this style individual is saying John might not even get the message. You know, he might use it and then go back, or he said I don't use those things, and put it away. So that's part of the challenge. The idea is that you need to get the message, you need to get it clearly, and you need to do something about it. That's the D style approach. The giving doesn't always land well, and so some amount of coaching um, we might be required in terms of these style individuals. I get a lot of work. I mean, people coming to me with that. Just now, somebody is saying they want some coaching for a CEO who really is just not able to communicate with the staff in the way that they would like to be communicated to. And just brash and rough. So that's part of the style thing that we need to look at in terms of how then do we um, suggest a softer landing of comments while still getting the message across. Now, on the other side, now how would a D style individual receive the feedback? Yes, they want that frank, honest thing. However, there is a tendency towards pushing back. The D style wants to win, right? That's one of the characteristics of D style behavior: winning, successful, etc. So therefore, if you're giving me feedback that's not aligned to my success and my me being successful or my winning. Anything that's uh, not aligned to my view of my performance, I'm going to question it. I'm going to push back. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to challenge you. And so sometimes, because of the um, nature of the challenging, and because let me share a thought with you. The more respect that this style individual has to the source of the feedback, is the more animated they might be, because they don't want that person to think badly of them. And so they could really be ratcheted up. And so sometimes people are saying, something, let me avoid Trevor. I'm not going to give him any feedback because I can't take the pushback. I can't take the animated discourse, So let him just go on about his business and do what he wants to do. But I'm not giving him any feedback. That's not helpful for Trevor, and that's not helpful for the organization. One of the coachings that we need to do, if we're going to build a culture of feedback, is that we definitely need to encourage individuals to give feedback to these style individuals, no matter how dominant and how strong-willed and how forceful their feedback is. They need to get the feedback. Now, there, in another workshop, we would spend some more time as to how to do it. We have to choose who are the individuals, and we might even have to go outside of the team to get the hint in. But the bottom line is that if the organization fails to give feedback to dominant individuals, they're pushing towards ruin, or definitely it's not a movement towards success. So, two things need to happen here. One is that people need to create a climate, and it is by dialogue and by confronting issues that you need to be able to get to a place where feedback is freely given to individuals who have a preference for the dominance behavioral style. And we also need to guide these individuals into how they give feedback to people. They need to take into consideration the human element. Hope that helps. All right. The I style perspective uh, is that this process of exchanging feedback, it should be developmental. And so, consequently, the parties should go into the exercise with a positive and engaging mindset. I mean, what's it? I'm going to show you how to, let us move it out of that and go to school. I'm going to show you how to do this, solve this mathematical problem. Come on, it's not, oh no, I'm vexed. No, I'm just helping you. You're going to be better for this. Yes. So that's the mindset of the I style, which I think we should um, accept a lot more. That philosophy would enhance the development of a feedback culture where people feel as if, yeah, sure, come along, help me to be better, help me to improve. That's the mindset. The downside of that philosophy is that, and I get it constantly, there's a feeling that the I style is not taking the feedback seriously, you know. So we have a consultation. I bring in Trevor to have a discussion with him about his performance, and he's coming in, and it's like a happy. It's a fun. He's sharing ideas, and he's talking about other things. How is the cricket score? What's happening with the basketball? Trevor, no, it's a serious matter. Oh, come on. Developmental is for my improvement. Thank you for sharing. And also, why is your face so serious and glum? You're helping me. You're doing a good thing. Smile, encourage me. That's the problem, is that people are of the opinion that Trevor is not serious about the matter. He's not, he doesn't understand the gravity of the situation. So for me, this is another example of the misunderstanding of the nuances of behavioral preferences. People need to understand that Trevor's um, countenance just reflects a view of life that's up, uplifting, that's positive. And so this exchange of information that would enhance his performance and the organization performance is something pleasant. It's not something to be morose about. Hope that makes a difference. That's a big one. All right. So traditionally, I can tell you, I'm sorry with all of these colors, they're like the total red here. Major technical problems and the technology problems. So forgive me in terms of the presentation. So the S style actually, this is surprising because normally when we're doing team analysis and work with teams and so on, the S style is like the teacher's pet. Nobody has comes and said, you know, I want you to come and help me because I have an S style individual who is really a problem. It never happens. Usually somebody dominance or somebody, that they are saying different issues, but trust me, um, S-style is your teacher's pet. But here, S-style presents a significant challenge as it relates to feedback. Two ways. All right, let's deal with the reception first. The S-style takes these things seriously, right? They take the feedback seriously. They want to internalize it, right? And because of that, um, we're trained. We know this language. So you're going to say something nice, sticking the meat as to what it is that you really want to draw to their attention. Close it up with something nice. So there's a nice sandwich, everything is nice. You can walk away. Oh, I did well today and I gave the feedback and it's well. No, no. Most times the S-style colleague is going to say, okay, I hear you. Throw away the bread. So that wasn't really meant. That's just thinking that who do they think I am? I'm not an idiot. I can know what it is that they really are saying. So that wasn't sincere. Throw away this piece of bread. This is really what you want to say to me. And as to this other little piece of bread, it's stale. I don't want it because I know what it is that you want to say. Just come and talk to me. Come and talk to me and tell me about the meat. Don't bother with waste the bread because I'm not interested in that. That's a style approach. So if you miss that, you have a problem. What needs to be done then is that you need to go and massage after the event. Make sure that you are clear that the person is welcoming the team, that the person's performance is genuinely appreciated. All of those factors need to take place. Otherwise, it's going to be there and they might tend to ruminate on it and might even add dimensions that weren't intended. Yeah. So they might think, oh, so maybe, the fact that you raise this issue might have implications for other things. And I, wonder what it is that you're hiding, because you only bring this to the surface. Oh, problems there. So do you not give feedback? Of course you have to, but you just have to do the work as well around it. The other side is because of how the style thinks as well, is that they tend to be so empathetic. They tend to live in the shoes of the colleagues. So they will make a lot of excuses for them that, oh, maybe they have these issues and you give them another chance, etc. So feedback might not be as readily forthcoming from your style colleagues, even when it is absolutely necessary. Yeah. And so they tend to delay giving the feedback. Let us see how this works out. They tend to mute it and tend to maybe in some instances, but that will even provide the feedback, although it's necessary, especially as it relates to, for example, giving feedback to these styling colleagues. They can't be bothered with that first. They don't want that problem. So they leave it alone. All right. What about your C-style colleagues? C-style colleagues want to give feedback on the basis of evidence. It's evidence based. This is a case. They build a case before they come to you. And so they want all the context, time, place, all the frequency, all of that. So they build a case and they come and say, hey, Trevor, here you are. This is what we have observed. These are the challenges. That can be off-putting. Yes, for some individuals who are saying, I can't bother with the court case. So leave Trevor, let him stay by himself and do what he's doing because, I can't go through the rigor of having to come up with all of this evidence. So it also has a problem in terms of timeliness. If you have to go and look at the history, look at what is required and where he is, all of that is just too much. On the other side, um, yes, there's a good thing about the C-style approach in that they will provide evidence. Yes, so it would tend to be more constructive then because it's not just feelings. You would have some support, so that's healthy. The downside is that it might take too long to prepare the case, and so timely feedback might not be um, readily given. Right. So that's another way. And then again, the other little issue is that by focusing on facts, the C-styles sometimes fail to pay sufficient attention to the people issues. You know, these are people, and these people want to um, communicate and get feedback in a way that um, is helpful to them, but also the manner in which it's delivered. They don't want it to be so cut and dry that you forget the humanities that is involved. So that's part of it, and so that could impact relationships and engagement in the team and the organization. Hope this lands for you. Have a quick, yeah, might run over a little bit today on the 30 minutes, so just give yourself a little bit. I want to talk about a case study just so that we can see what we're talking about here. So we're going to use Sam to represent the actual case, right? And how Sam used discerning listening, the same model that we talk about, discerning model of communication and leadership, which includes the the listening component. So Sam leads a cross-functional team, so wide variety of different individuals. When he inherited the team, there are a lot of problems in terms of um, giving and receiving feedback, misunderstandings, conflicts, lack of engagement, and Sam decided that he has to fix this issue. All right? He has to get to a place where he would foster greater levels of trust. He wanted to have open communication channels so that the team could be enhanced. What did he do? All right. So he decided that he would actually have this principle of discerning listening, discerning communication um, exposed to the team. So he arranged for the team himself and the team to be coached in the use of the discerning model of communication. And so individuals then recognize their unique behavioral styles. Everybody got their behavioral DNA analysis so that everybody knew where they were. They had the team maps so that we could see how um, each other, where they fell, where people were in the quadrant, and so you could look at see the differences. And people would say, now I understand why. Oh, so that is why this is so and so. So already the team up would have opened up um, the avenues for communication that people would realize that it's not that Trevor is so terrible, it's just that he has a different perspective. Right? So the team learned then about communication preferences, their people's strengths, their areas of, that for development, how they wanted to communicate, how they wanted to receive information, etc. And that's what so he went through also the whole question of active listening. How do and that's again is communication 101, eye contact, and validating people's feelings, those kinds of things were done. Also, empathy and respect that we're not all the same. And so we're not going to put down anybody. We're going to make sure that we respect where people are. We provide a safe space for sharing of thoughts, etc. And also the question of clarification. If this is happening, do I have a clear understanding of what's happening here? Um, let's do it this way. Let me understand you a little bit better. And so that's the kind of climate that Sam sought and was successful, as we will see, um, in setting up, in the sense that people started to work more collaboratively. They started to understand nuances. They started to know how to give feedback, how to receive feedback. When um, someone who is using a D style is presenting, they can look beyond maybe some of the forthrightness and take out what is really intended. Those are some of the things that came from that exercise of understanding self, understanding others, understanding how people are presenting. And so that's an approach to enhancing a culture of feedback by incorporating a deeper understanding of behavioral styles where people can feel heard, where they can feel valued and feel as if they can raise points. And even if there's some pushback, they could understand why the pushback is there and where it's coming from. And that in turn opened up a much more positive work environment. That's the concept. So the bottom line basically is that remember that feedback, if the organization, if the team is starved of positive, frank, timely feedback, it's going to impact quality assurance, it's going to impact customer centricity, it's going to impact performance management, it's going to impact productivity, it's going to impact retention, engagement, it's going to impact everything. Feedback is critical. And understanding how behavioral preferences impact the giving and receiving of feedback is essential to creating this feedback culture that we require. Right? So discerning listening enhances trust and fosters open communication in feedback exchanges. Right? And we have discussed the whole question of the active listening and the need to seek clarification. By practicing, I'm just really straight, by practicing discerning listening, we can bridge the gap between different viewpoints, prevent misunderstandings, and promote harmonious relations. Right? So again, um, we're inviting you to communicate with us. This idea of pushing to make sure that you have a feedback culture is a part of the resilience that organizations need. And again, I'm inviting you, I'm suggesting that anchoring that or using as one pillar formal behavioral DNA analysis makes a difference for individuals and for your team. And we invite you, let's have a conversation. What is it? How can we enhance resilience by um, incorporating discerning listening? I gave you a case study. I indicated to you how different behavioral styles can impact the feedback loop. Let's have a talk. Send me an email at info@successwithpeople.org or just send me a text at 1-876-535-6677. That's it. And for those of you who have not yet, who have put out this invitation, not yet requested your copy of our treasured publication, Discerning Listening, please send me an email at info@successwithpeople.org. Happy to have a conversation with you, as we have said here. We anchor a lot of what we do on the discerning model of communication and leadership. What we have done is taken the DISC framework and we have built a vast body of knowledge around it. We are also SHRM recertification providers, and we provide behavioral DNA assessments from Extended DISC and the Things platform. Thank you for your time and talk to you next week.